We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
Welcome to Mostly Horror.
Mostly.
I'm Steve,
And I'm Sean.
and we're back.
We're back, dude. We're back.
Gave
There's so much.
Gave a good sigh. Yeah, we haven't recorded in a little while because I was gone for a bit, but you guys don't know that because episodes have still been coming out. Hope you guys have enjoyed them. I think the one before this is probably Robert Morgan, the stop motion film, which is now out if you're listening to this, so you should go check that out. But this week we figured we would just do a little catching up on some news, some things you probably already know, and have a little episode out of that.
Yeah, because there's plenty of stuff to talk about. A bunch of stuff's coming out, updates on stuff we've been talking about. But really quick, you said you've been gone. Where were you, dude? Let the people know. I see your hat. Nice hat.
I so went to Paris.
Get the fuck out.
Which was really cool. Did all the things. Was there for about 6 days. Every day was like jam packed full of stuff. We walked like about 10 miles every single day.
Jeez.
But
you got bunions now?
But no, it was honestly, it was like we were really tired at the end of the day, but it was like good. And
Hell yeah.
Today's the first day where I feel like normal coming back from jet lag. But everything from like the Louvre to going to Versailles to, I'm like scrolling through to remember what all we did. Walking through Montmartre, which is where it's where like all the famous writers were, and like Van Gogh lived there. And so like I got a picture of like the Van Gogh's door where he lived is like blue, and like it's like painted blue. I'll send you a pic. It's also it's on my Instagram, but it's really hold on, let me see. I'll just text this to you. But yeah, it's super cool. And on the buzzer, it has like a bunch of numbers, and it says Van Gogh, press 0. Like if you're Van Gogh, press 0. So
That's fucking awesome.
We were in that area. Obviously saw the Eiffel Tower. Went to a couple other museums. Went into the catacombs.
Yeah, dude.
Which was crazy.
Details. Did you see Pink down there?
I
never watched that movie.
No, you said that before, and I don't recognize that reference. But it definitely was not as above, so below. Like it was very different. It's really crazy because like all this architecture is so old. So it's like a number of times we had to go up a spiral staircase. That's just like not even like it's not a big spiral staircase. It's literally just a spiral. Like you're basically just walking directly up into the air.
Yeah.
And we did it once going up to the Sacré-Cœur, which is this big like basilica in Montmartre where like all the famous artists and stuff were. And so we walked up like 300 stairs up straight up into the air, and then we're in this huge dome, and I'm afraid of heights, so that was like very terrifying. Just like being above all of the world. But then when you go to the catacombs, it's the same thing. So you walk down a spiral staircase, and then you're being led. You aren't being led, but it's like one way in, one way out sort of thing. You don't like circle back and exit where you entered. You exit somewhere else. So you walk down. You have like a audio tour, like that's the best way to do it. So it's like a little kind of phone thing you just put to your ear, and you walk, and it's like telling you about how this place was made. And it's not bones right off the bat. It's these like dark hallways that are like intermittently lit. And so like the people in front of you will turn the corner, and you're the only people in this dark hallway. Sydney was getting was pretty freaked. It was making me kind of nervous too. But I was like, you went down, like, I know that I was down here with like at least 50 other people, it's just like everyone's at their own pace. Right. And there's moments where you're like with other people too, which was a lot better. Once you get to the bones, it honestly is spookier, the tension leading up to it. But it's insane. It's so many bones just stacked on these walls. There's a lot of like Latin inscriptions everywhere, which like really adds to the spooky factor of everything. Like I think as soon as
so below.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't see that one, but it's like Uh, there's what was the really famous one that I saw? Yeah, right where you're about to enter, like it's like between the regular spot and then where the bones are. It says
Mhm.
stop. This is the Empire of the Dead, and then you like walk through into where all the bones and stuff are. But there's
Breakdown.
parts where like yeah, honestly, there's parts where the bones are stacked in like crosses and like obviously like rows. It's just insane. It's not like I'm tall as I had to hunch for like a while of it to like
Okay.
even walk through.
Got you.
Yeah, it was absolutely
It
insane.
you're making me realize that I don't really know, or at least remember, like why are they there? You just did the tour. Why
Too
are
many
there a
cemetery
bunch of
or
bones?
too
Oh,
many dead people, not enough cemeteries, essentially.
so they just stacked them up. They were like, well, we can make them decor at least. We
Yeah.
can, you know,
Yeah, basically. And so
I'm fine with it.
they like cut out limestone in the like down underground. They cut out
Yeah.
limestone and then moved the limestone up and then like sent bones down this like just this one singular hole essentially.
Mhm.
And you can look up through the hole that bones were shooted down.
That's a trip.
Yeah.
So it was bone specifically before they even made it in there. So what did they talk about a process to bonify them before?
I don't think I probably like wasn't paying attention to that part if they were talking
Okay.
about it. I don't know if it was like they like opened caskets and like pulled bones or like
They pulled
I don't really know what that process was. I don't
I gotta
remember
be
if they
honest, this
said
is my dark brain, but I just imagine like a big
incinerator.
like circular pool. Incinerator
Oh,
makes more sense, but I was imagining like a pool of almost like bleach and just like
hydrochloric
cooked bleach,
acid.
and they're just like stewing everyone down
Yeah.
into bones and then like straining
Yeah,
them.
I don't think it was
Sending-
that because yeah, I
Are you
don't
sure?
think that that's what it was. It was
Oh,
like
okay.
let's see, when were the catacombs
Oh,
built?
it's a good thing I wasn't in
Um,
charge.
yeah, it was in the 18th century, dude. They didn't have a lot of yeah, not a lot of stuff. But
Um,
anyways, yeah,
that's a
really,
trip.
really crazy.
That's honestly so cool. The couple of pictures you posted were just amazing. Did you touch any of them? Could you touch? I know you couldn't take
No,
anything, but could you
no,
like
they
no?
say no.
Keep
They're
your fucking
basically
hands
like
off
yeah,
them.
keep your fucking hands.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah,
like you just said, I know I texted this in our group chat, but when you walk out, they like check your bag essentially.
yeah.
I could have put
Which
one
is
in my
so
back
fair.
pocket, no one would have known, but like yeah. So and
Just a big skull in your back pocket.
I didn't want to touch anything because then that comes back with you, you know?
Yeah,
Like
you've seen enough movies. You're smart.
yeah. So didn't want to fuck with
Really
it.
quick, the movie I was talking about was 2007's Catacombs, and it has Pink in it. I'm not going to tell everyone it's a good movie, but especially after
Yeah.
being there, I think maybe give it a watch.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch As Above, So Below again. I know that one, like that movie, they find like a secret back entrance into the catacombs sort of thing. But it's like, dude,
Right.
there are parts where you're walking and there's like a gate to your side, and you're like, I don't know what goes all the way down there. Like that is not.
Yeah.
I do not want to venture into that space. It was fucking great. We went at night too. It was like one of the last times that you could go.
That's so
Yeah,
sick.
it was sick. But yeah, after that
Y-
we did a bunch of like I said a number of museums. It's really like they have, you know, the Louvre is the most popular museum in the world, and
Sure.
the d'Orsay museum is like the third most popular. But yeah, I got to see the Mona Lisa, which is fucking cool. Um,
Wow.
Stuff like that. The d'Orsay museum has, they believe it's one of Van Gogh's final self portraits. He did like 80, obviously, but it's one of his final self portraits, and then his other Starry Night. I think it's the first. He did two. The one that's at the MoMA, and
Oh,
then he did like this other
yeah.
one. It's a different like painting, obviously, but they're both called
Sure.
Starry Night. So, and then yeah, and then we went to this big place, big church called Saint Chapelle. It's right next to Notre Dame. So Notre Dame is closed because there was a fire, obviously, a couple of years ago, and they're rebuilding it now. They're hoping to have it ready soon. So we didn't go into Notre Dame, but we went outside of it. And then next to it, there's Saint Chapelle, which is this huge chapel, and it has the most beautiful stained glass I've ever seen in my entire life. It's just absolutely insane. There's only the stained glass is made out of just four colors, I think. It's like red, blue, green, and purple. So it's just
Sure.
this crazy vibrant.
Oh
as we're
my
talking.
god.
I'll send you this absolutely insane video that I have.
Okay.
But the cool thing about Saint Chapelle, and I think that now this is at Notre Dame. And again, I'm not religious. I don't really give a shit, but like they supposedly have the crown of thorns, like the actual crown of thorns, and a
Yeah.
piece from Christ's cross. And I was like, that'd be fucking cool if I could see it, but they didn't have it. So,
Yeah.
oh well.
Yeah, dude,
But
those what are they called? What are there's like a name for these specific
the
like that
Horcruxes.
yeah. Yeah, Jesus's Horcruxes, dude. If you get them all together, it's like the pieces of Exodia, and it's all fucking over, man.
Yeah,
Holy shit! I'm looking at this stained glass now.
yeah,
What?
it's
Oh my
insane.
god!
I've never seen anything like it before. Like that's like very much what it looked like
Whoa!
too. Like it was not even a really sunny day. It was like pretty cloudy out, and yeah, maybe we can clip this and use this video so that way people can see what we're talking about. But
Holy shit!
yeah,
Yeah,
it was absolutely insane. So
that is nuts. That's beautiful. That's so cool, dude.
yeah,
I'm mad jealous. And it's awesome that you got to do that and have such a good time. I'm thinking like the Spear of Destiny and the Holy Grail and like yeah, like parts of the
yeah,
crown.
they're
I think there's
the
like multiple Holy Grails or things that
yeah,
claim to be the
I know
Holy
what you're
Grail.
talking about. I can't think of
Yeah.
what those are
There's like
called.
a name for it. Horcruxes is so much better than whatever it is
Yeah,
though. So we're
that's
gonna
what it
stick
is
with that.
essentially. The Horcruxes. But yeah, dude, it was
Did
cool. It was the French are very like it's so different. So many people smoking cigarettes. Like that's not a
yeah.
joke. A lot of cigarettes, some berets. The bakeries are all wonderful and
How was the
bakeries and
food? Oh, talk about the
it
food.
was really like really good. We got crepes all the time.
Yeah,
Um
sure.
and a lot of macarons. Um, it's really funny because we went to. I'll tell the story. I know Sydney's told it to some of our friends. Chelsea will hear this twice, but we went to the steak place the first night or second night that we were there because like steak in France is supposed to be good. Steak à poivre. It's like this pepper sauce kind of thing. Anyways, we order our steaks medium, and in Paris, things are different, and basically medium in Paris is closer to rare or even more rare than rare. So we get our
Oh,
steaks back and we like can't even cut them. They are like basically just seared around the sides.
jeez.
Um and so us being Midwesterners also in a new country, we're like, we're not gonna send this shit back. We're not gonna say
Right.
anything. So we ate our potatoes and we left. And we like paid
Wow.
obviously. And we got McDonald's because French McDonald's kind of slapped. Um but yeah, so I guess like in France, you know, they just make things like way more like well, people do not ask for things well done or like medium well
Yeah.
or anything like that. Um
Listen,
yeah.
they got revolution in their hearts over there right now. They eat their meat raw and
Yeah.
they hold up their steak and they say, "This could be you."
Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah.
we were supposed to go to Brussels for a day while we were there, and train workers were striking. And they actually they're so organized there with strikes and stuff that they actually like tell I think it's the government like a week before like, "Hey, we're going to strike this weekend," so you can tell the patrons of railways and stuff that hey, don't you're not going to be able to use the railway. So we didn't go to Brussels. We
Interesting.
went to Versailles instead that day,
Okay.
um but yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's so they eat at different times, they're up at different times.
Sure.
It's wild. Luckily, like everyone
That's
speaks English there, which is dope and didn't make us really work that hard.
okay.
Although we did get food in Versailles, like in not the palace Versailles, but like this little town Versailles right next to it. And the people at that creperie did not speak English at all. And we were
Yeah.
like, I was using Google Translate on my phone. So
Nice.
it works.
At
But
least that we have that technology.
yeah, exactly. Made
That's
it easy.
it's interesting that they're so considerate with their striking and stuff as to not be inconvenient.
I think it's just a part of like the daily life. Like people, they strike,
Sure.
especially like the industries that are more tied to union there. And
Yeah.
obviously like workers' rights is it's been a thing for so long, like that the in France, like as a country. So yeah, I think it's just like the way that they operate. They're like on a strike schedule, kind of.
That makes sense. Yeah, well, I mean, they're pissed off, dude. We need
Yeah.
to get some of their vibes over here. I see your non merci. Is that how you say it?
Non merci. Yeah.
Yeah, but where's your Viva la Revolution shirt, dude? Did you at least throw a brick or something?
No, I didn't. There was no bricks needed to be thrown. But yeah, there's this cool shop there called Merci that we stopped at, so I had to grab a hat.
Right. That's
I
awesome.
also got you a fun goodie as well, but I won't.
What?
Next time I see you, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the Viva la Resistance shirt.
That would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool. But yeah, so that was fun. I'm already excited to do another international travel somewhere. So we'll see.
Hell yeah, man! I'm so glad you got to do that. That's so sick.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, should we hop into some things that they probably already know?
I'm sure you already knew that.
You only tell me stuff I already know.
You already know what I'm going to tell you.
Let's do it.
All right. First thing, just a little tidbit that I saw on Twitter earlier today is that supposedly the trailer for The Strangers Chapter 1 will be coming out before Imaginary, the new film that's coming out on March 8th. So that means that by the time that this episode probably comes out, when will this episode come out? Let's see. You guys listening will be getting this episode on the 4th. So probably in a couple days after this episode comes out, we'll be getting a trailer for The Strangers Chapter 1, which is interesting.
Is really quick. Chapter 1.
So it's being released in 3 parts. It's like 3 movies that are coming out this year.
And that's how they're finishing the show?
Not Stranger Things.
I'm confused.
The Strangers.
Oh, dude, my brain. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes. I saw an image. I saw kind of some mask stuff. I don't know how real it was. Dude, you threw me off so much. I was so fucking confused.
On Valentine's Day, they did a little teaser thing, and it had fucking Sackhead and Baby Doll. But it was like a Valentine's Day thing, and they were like, not like embracing, but like, and I was like, that's not the vibe.
Right.
What are we doing? Anyways,
I have to look. Yeah. I didn't see it. I'll have to look at that.
But we should be getting a trailer that we can dig way too far into pretty soon.
I was going to say, should we watch it? Are we going to watch that trailer?
I have
probably.
I have to watch the trailer.
I don't think I can hold out.
It's one of our favorite horror films of all time.
Yeah.
Need to.
All right. Yeah. Very interesting.
Gotta do it. So that is that's something. Just I guess a note for the people that are listening. Another thing, I don't know. I don't know if you knew this, but the Spiderwick Chronicles. So you know that they were making a series, right?
Yeah, there was talks that potentially there was going to be a series. We talked about that like a year ago, I think.
So there was a series. It was going to be for Disney Plus, and they made it. And Disney Plus, like
they made it.
Yeah, they made it. And Disney Plus. Let me finish my shit. All right. So Disney Plus, basically, in the awful pattern that a lot of other production companies are doing, they're just like shelving these things that they've already spent money on, so that way they don't have to spend more money on marketing. But they opted to not release it, and they sold it. And they sold the Spiderwick Chronicles to the Roku channel, which is where I can only imagine things go to die. But the Roku channel is releasing all 8 episodes on April 19th.
Okay.
And it stars Christian Slater.
Really?
So yeah. I mean, he's Mulgarath. I don't remember who that is, but
I think he's probably the big.
Yeah,
he's like the big monster thing. Damn it, I tried to type in Mulgarath, and the first thing that popped up was Christian Slater's mugshot. but so it fits the villain thing. Very interesting. I do have Roku, and I will say, dude, they got some cooking channels on there that I fuck with. But yeah, I will give that a watch. It would be awesome if it's really good. I love Tony DiTerlizzi, the writer and artist, co-writer and artist of those books. So it would be cool if it was good.
Yeah,
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean them selling it is no indication. Obviously,
no,
it's just them selling shit. So.
If anything, it wasn't their particular brand of bad. Maybe it's actually good, and they just don't I don't know. I don't really trust Disney's like taste right now.
That's a possible
Yeah.
thing. But yeah,
Okay.
so that comes out soon. I don't know if we should do this. We should shelve the other adaptation conversation till after, right? We should pause.
Which specific one?
The,
Sorry.
the show that just came out a couple days ago. I don't know how many episodes.
Oh yeah,
you've watched.
we could
All
put
right,
that.
we'll save that till. Some other things that you probably already know. This one just a day or so ago. This news came out. Lionsgate said, "Hey, we're gonna do two other adaptations, two new versions of things that you love already. One of them is a remake of The Dead Zone, which is, I believe, a Stephen King novel,
Yes.
and also a Cronenberg film. I think Cronenberg adapted it into a film. The other thing that they said that they were going to remake is American Psycho.
Okay. Before we get to American Psycho, let me just say I've never seen The Dead Zone, but I know of it. It's a 1983 film. Looks like it's starring Christopher Walken.
Nice.
Heard of it, but haven't seen it. Would like to read it. Would like to see that movie. Am down for them to remake stuff, even though we still haven't gotten our Salem's Lot. Whatever.
Yeah. He's fighting for it though.
I saw him posting about it the other day. They have no clue it's been finished, and he's seen it and said he liked it, and we just have no clue. Speaking of shelved stuff, but hold up. American Psycho remake. What do you think right off the bat? You've seen the movie, obviously, but that's it, right? You haven't read it.
No.
Okay. What are your initial thoughts? Then I'll do mine because I got a lot.
It's a very like weird kind of niche movie to remake, in my opinion. I think that you could I think like the only reason to remake it is to like iconify the character, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's like the way to say it, but I think that character, you can, like, the Patrick Bateman character could do really well in today's society, like revamping that character. But I really like the movie, so I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know if I would like a remake. I have seen people say that Glenn Howerton should be in the remake, which I think would be hilarious. But unfortunately, he just adds an air of comedy to everything he does. And I want to be uncomfortable during this movie. I don't really want to laugh necessarily. Also, Christian Bale still looks good. Jared Leto still looks good. Just let him run it back. You know?
Fair. Yeah, I saw the Glenn stuff, and I thought that was funny as like a meme, but I would not want that to be the case.
No.
So in our earlier episodes, like one of our earliest episodes, I couldn't tell you which one, but I remember we were talking about Umbrella Academy, and I brought up the young actor who plays I think it's number 4, maybe, or number 2. Or is he number 1? Maybe he's just number 1. I don't know.
Watch Kids.
You know who I'm talking about. The kid.
Yeah.
The one who stays a kid, time travels. I can't think of his name right now. But I was saying that I think if you gave it a few years, I would want him to be. I don't know why. While I was watching Umbrella Academy, I was like, he would be a great Patrick Bateman.
Number 5.
Number 5. Yes, number 5.
His name's Aidan Gallagher.
Yes, Aidan Gallagher. I was like, he would be a great Patrick Bateman. And I was talking about how I think it was while we were just talking about remakes and stuff in general. I was saying I think that American Psycho would actually be a great movie to remake. I think, if anything, I almost wanted to see them do something like what they did with Dracula, maybe like a 3-part, or just a long movie could be good. Not that the book's like crazy long, but there's just a lot in it. I read the book American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis before I ever saw the movie. I didn't see the movie till way later. I did not like the movie very much because of that. I think that it is it's super, super watered down. I can respect like the technical whatever of it. I'm not even trying to say it's like a bad movie. I feel like it's probably a really good movie, but as a translation of that book, it didn't super work for me. That book is fucked. That book is fucked, and it's also like it's unbearable. Like it is a hard book to read on multiple fronts. It is just hard to like exist in Patrick Bateman's headspace for a multitude of reasons, not just the violence. But dude, there are multiple chapters that will be nothing but a intense like critique breakdown of like a Phil Collins album. Literally nothing happens. It is just him track for track breaking down a Phil Collins album, and and it makes sense in the context of the story.
Yeah.
But there's also a scene in that book with Bono from U2 that is like my favorite thing. One of my favorite things I've ever read.
Like Bono's in the book?
Yes. Patrick Bateman goes to a U2 show.
Okay.
And I would love, I guess it doesn't have to be U2. I think it should be, but I need that. I need that scene in some capacity in whatever remake they do. But yeah, I think it could be really good, but I don't trust that they're going to make it good. If an American Psycho movie is like funny at all, then I don't think it's good.
Yeah.
It needs to just be like, there can be parts that are so odd that they kind of make you laugh, you know, like hey,
uncomfortable.
Paul.
Yeah,
sure. And whatever, but to put even a touch of like, what's the word? Just like comfort or any anything in that show or in that movie would be wrong. But I do think that if they stick to it, you said that the only reason to do it would be to like re-iconify the characters. I think that's how you said it.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, Patrick Bateman is still like referenced enough. Like I see him online. I don't necessarily know that is like needed. I
think with a younger audience, I think
that's
with
fair.
A newer generation. Yeah.
And so what I will say is that other than just like re-solidifying him as a character in the zeitgeist, I think that American Psycho is a satire about corporate greed and like corporate bros and toxic male masculinity and pretentiousness and violence towards women and all these things, and those are very relevant topics still, and we could totally get a fresh take on those.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that remaking it and fitting it to today's world, but staying true to like the true bleakness of that story and not pulling any punches could be amazing, but I don't know that they'd do it. Sorry, long-winded.
No, that's very fair. I also think another aspect of this that would mean success for me would be another woman director, because the original is directed by a woman, and I think like, dude, Chloe Akuno should take that on. Chloe Akuno should do the remake of American Psycho.
Yeah, that's I could definitely support that. I also want to say, like, I'm sorry, I don't remember what is the director's name? Mary Herron. I'm not attacking her when I say I don't like the movie. It's just, if you compare those two things, they're so drastically different. I just don't think that anyone would have been able to make at that time an American Psycho movie that got any kind of like release. Like, it's just too fucked.
Like like matching like the actual.
Yes. It was just too tame. It was way too tame for me. It needs to be way more intense. Like, if you don't leave that movie feeling sick to your stomach, then they didn't do it right. Straight up. That book is like hard to read.
Some other things. There's so many things. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. Let's do some of the bigger things. Okay. This one's mostly horror. You see the trailer for Borderlands?
No, I saw the poster.
Okay.
The trailer look good? That's good.
It looks like Guardians of the Galaxy is what I'll say. It doesn't. Yeah, I mean,
of course it does.
Between the look and the music and all that stuff. I'll see it probably. It's directed by Eli Roth.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. It's really strange.
And it feels like Guardians?
Yeah, the trailer really feels like Guardians. So anyways, you should watch that whenever you have a second. Did you ever play those games?
Yeah. Sorry, really quick.
I played Borderlands 1 and 2.
I played the first one, but it got repetitive. It was just very like,
it's very repetitive. Kind of I remember like the cell shading at the time was like, oh, this is just really cool, and so you're just really in it. But
yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, that movie's been done for like 3 years, I think. They've just been sitting on it. So hopefully
Okay.
it gets a good reception.
Let's see how it does.
Another thing that you probably already know. Did you see the news about the new Yorgos Lanthimos film?
No, what?
All right.
What
I
is it?
love news of new Yorgos Lanthimos films. So back when we had our friend Grady Hendrix on the show, we did his mostly horror recommendations, and he recommended a film from 2003 called Save the Green Planet, which is a genre-bending Korean film, South Korean film. And it's actually been on my watch list for a while. And I've really wanted to watch it, but Yorgos Lanthimos is slated to remake it. It's been 21 years since it came out. Also attached to produce is Ari Aster. So I'm a fan of this. I'm very excited. I know Emma Stone is reportedly already attached because Yorgos loves working with Emma. And she's fantastic in everything that he does, everything that she's been in with him. So I know that he also has other films coming out. Like he has a film called, it's either called Yes or it's called And or something. It's like a weird, just like a preposition.
Yes,
phrase.
and improv, baby.
Yeah. Zip, zap, zop. But he, yeah, he's just cranking out films now, and I'm very excited. So I really want to watch Save the Green Planet soon, and then we'll be excited for this remake whenever it comes out.
I never got around to seeing Save the Green Planet either after Grady said it, so it has been bumped up my list now that I've heard about this. I'm also just reading a little thing, and it says that the main character, Byong-gu, I hope I'm saying that right, believes that the world is on the verge of an alien invasion and sets out to save the world. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
And it's supposed to be like, I think it's like a mix of like, obviously sci-fi, but like horror, and like there's ultra violence in there. There's like just like weird comedy, like slapstick comedy. Yeah, it's supposed to be like pretty wild. It's definitely streaming on one of the places, so hopefully watch it soon. Also, some things you probably already know. This one's just a fun little tidbit. Christopher Nolan was talking at an event at London's British Film Institute.
Yeah.
And he said, I think horror films are very interesting because they depend on very cinematic devices. It really is about a visceral response to things. And so at some point, I'd love to make a horror film. And he said, I think a really good horror film requires a really exceptional idea. Those are few and far between. And I haven't found a story that really, jumps out to me.
Sure.
Thoughts?
So I saw that article and I read it. I felt a little like quick taglined. Like it made me think that he was working on one, or he was going to say he was working on. Course. So that was a bit of a bummer. Not that I'm like an intense Nolan bro, but he obviously makes some amazing movies. I would love to see him take on a horror movie, or just really like lean even more into the darkness. All of his movies at least hang out around the void, if not stare directly into it. I would love to see him look right into it and see what he sees.
You've merely adapted the dark. I was born into it, shaped by it.
Molded by it. I did not see the light until I was already a man, and by then it was nothing but blinding.
All right, we're done.
I actually watched that movie in France, funny enough.
Really?
I couldn't fall asleep, and it was on TV, and it was the only thing in English. Not that I mean, like, obviously that movie's amazing, but yeah. So anyways.
Very nice.
I would love to see a Nolan film. He's so good with unique narrative structure, and so I think that would work really well with horror. And just in general, he's a great director. So
if you had to pick a subgenre for him to touch on, what would it be?
Like probably quote unquote elevated. Like it would be, I'd love to see him take on like a dramatic horror film. Like not
okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I almost think it would be fun to see him take on something like or even like a ghost story, or like,
I think
something like
that would be good too. Yeah. I think he could definitely do something along those lines. Yeah, for sure. All right, some other things. Let's do these kind of quick hitting. Christopher Landon, who's working on a film already that we know called Big Bad, is working on another thriller called Drop, and it stars Megan Fahey, who was one of the leads in the newest seasons of White Lotus. She was wonderful in it. So yeah, we got another Christopher Landon's just pumping out the hits.
Yeah,
He
dude,
also said, this is my love letter to De Palma, is what he said about the Thriller.
two things. A, dude, he got a dream ripped out of his hands, and he just said, I'm gonna just direct my heart out. He right now he's in his Kevin Bacon Footloose dance scene in the warehouse of just making movies.
Yeah.
He's just like, he's reading scripts.
He's getting
and
really,
yes,
really ripped, so that way the X looks back at him and goes, "Damn,
yes,
his
yep.
movies are so good."
You're goddamn right. So that's what's happening. But then, I have never. The only De Palma movie I have seen is Carrie.
Okay,
I've not seen any of his other films, so I don't really know what a love letter to him is.
Mm-hmm.
But it has me wanting to like kind of check out his stuff more. So.
Yeah, he's known for like kind of like the intensity in his films, so I'm really curious to see. Really curious to see what he does.
Yeah. I love Carrie.
Yeah,
so I can at least say
you ever
that.
saw Scarface? Was it Scarface De Palma?
Was that him?
Yeah.
If so, then yes, I've seen.
Yeah.
I've seen two of his films. Okay,
right. That's two of them.
I didn't realize that was him.
Next, just a really kind of like weird tidbit. That's a report from Variety. Did you ever see the movie Truth or Dare? Like 6 years ago?
I did.
It was not good. Well, the director of Truth or Dare, who has the new film coming out called Imaginary, said, we wrote a Truth or Dare sequel. In the first one, there's about 9 In the first one, there's about 9 characters. 7 of them die. And he said, they jokingly tossed around the idea of a meta sequel where they play themselves, and they wrote up a script called Truth or Dare IRL. And so basically it's like New Nightmare, where like the people are like, it's not the characters, but they're playing themselves.
Sure.
Yeah.
I liked the first one. I don't like love it. It's not a heavy hit for me by any means, but I thought it was good, and it has I can't remember his name right now, and I should totally remember his name. Or wait, no. I'm sorry. I just mixed up movies. I've never seen Truth or Dare.
What movie did you think you were talking about?
I was thinking Would You Rather.
Oh, yeah, not that.
Okay. Truth or Dare was almost like Smile, kind of, right?
Yeah.
In
similar.
that weird, like it is a part of that doppelganger type of movie where people just make weird faces and do shit. And
yeah, Truth or Dare was basically like, you do Truth or Dare, and if you don't do the dare, then you die.
Right, and
like
people, I remember people
like
had a weird grin.
You would see yourself smiling.
Yeah, stupid.
Yeah, it was not great. It was also really weird because they have this like, they need to find like the origin of the Truth or Dare,
okay,
and like fix the whatever.
What was the first truth?
Yeah,
and subsequently, what was the first dare?
They go back to like Mexico. It was just fucking. It was so weird. But, anyways, so interesting concept for a film. I feel like that is. I saw someone say that they should do that for the new Scream film, which I feel like would be really interesting, and obviously like fit in the world of Scream for sure, and that would be a great way to like bring back people. But regardless, I just thought it was an interesting little tidbit. Another thing you probably already know, we've been talking about this movie Sting for a little while.
Yeah,
we talked about it. It finally has a release date, April 12th. I actually haven't seen the trailer. I want to go. You did?
I shouldn't have, but I did.
Okay.
All I'm going to say is I'm still excited, even though I saw it, and I won't watch anything else.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. The only thing is it's supposedly set in New York, and so I just don't want to think about spiders in New York. But besides that, it's fine.
I'm down. I'm so down. Yeah. I that's all that I'm going to say right now is that I'm not like, I don't know. It could go either way, but from the trailer, I am still very much so excited. I don't necessarily regret having seen it. I won't watch anything else, and I'm definitely stoked to get the movie. And I have hope. I have a lot of hope that it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. So, interesting. Well, maybe we'll reach out to the director and see what's going on there. Couple other things. I always think it's funny when they're announcing an adaptation of something that hasn't come out yet, which happened recently. So there's a book coming out called How to Become the Dark Lord. It's by a guy named Django Wexler. And it's called How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. And it's not even out yet, but it's getting an adaptation by Adam Wingard, who did Godzilla vs. Kong, and Godzilla X Kong that's coming out. It's a story about a young woman from the modern world who finds herself stuck in a time loop within a realm ruled by the Dark Lord. And she's tired of dying over and over, so she decides to stage a revolution and become the Dark Lord herself. I just love that concept, and it feels very like D&D-esque. So I just imagine like a Sucker Punch sort of vibe, even though that movie sucks, but that sort of thing.
Yeah. I'm looking at just the
covers,
like cover for the book, and I do enjoy it. It definitely has me curious. I already, obviously it's way too early to have much thoughts about anything, but I get the feeling that I'm going to read
not out,
the book.
Movie's not out.
Right. I get the feeling though, this is just, maybe I'm predicting the future. All right.
Okay.
Maybe some clairvoyancy is showing through, but I think I'm going to read the book, and I'm probably going to enjoy the book, and then they're going to make a movie, and I'm not going to like the movie. That's the vibe that I'm getting. I'm getting like John dies at the end.
Based on literally nothing at all.
It's okay. If anything, it's based on that. I think I've been frustrated with a lot of books, like adaptations to movies lately.
Sure.
And the funness vibe that I'm getting from the book of like what the book might be like with everything you just said makes me think that they're going to approach it in a certain goofy way that isn't going to like a goofiness that doesn't translate. Again, I think of John Dies at the End. John Dies at the End is such an amazing book. It is fucking awesome. And then that movie is literal trash. and yeah, so I don't know. But dude, it would be so sick if I like them both. But you put them on my radar. Again, obviously I don't have anything to go off of. I'm not trying to damn anything. That's just it's
your Nostradamus
feeling in my
take.
gut. Yeah. Yes. Yep.
All right, and then the very last thing that I have, and if you have anything else we can add on, but did you happen to catch up with True Detective at all?
No.
Okay. Well,
I'm still season 1. That's all I got.
A lot of Americans did. It averaged about 12.7 million total views per episode. With the last one, I think the day of watch was like 23 million or something along those lines. It's already been renewed for season 5. Again, this is an anthology series, so it'll be a totally different story. But it's been renewed for season 5, and the creator, Issa Lopez, is staying on to be the showrunner for the 5th season.
Wow.
I'll bookmark this here and talk more about it maybe in a minute. I will say one really unfortunate thing is that the original creator of True Detective, Nick Pizzolatto, exactly. He like kind of shit on the show, like the season, which is very unfortunate. And so I don't know. I think he's like precious about the seasons that he created, specifically the first one, which like is amazing, and I understand that, but like for him to like publicly shit on the 4th iteration of it just doesn't really make sense to me, and like I don't really know why he would do that. And he has been subsequently clowned by everyone online.
I was gonna say,
so
sounds like he just can't handle anyone else showing up to play. Did he do? So he did the first season, but how did
he's
he do...
credited as a writer on all 3.
Okay.
And
maybe
if he is credited as a writer on all 3, like I've heard the 2nd and 3rd aren't great. So
yes, I was going to say maybe he's butthurt that it didn't go, that people really like this thing and it got his hopes up, and then he's upset with the response to the other ones, and now people are responding positively to this new one. Maybe he's just a little sore and needs a juice box and to think a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I have some issues with the new one, but regardless, I don't think
you've
deserves
seen them all
being shot.
Oh no, you haven't.
I saw the first one and then the most recent one, the 4th one.
So this is a thing that's like hard to explain. I think I've obviously talked a bits about stuff like this before, but like, and maybe it's just my brain. I'm truly looking into why I am so obsessive about certain things, but I have to watch the other seasons before I get to this one.
Yeah.
I even though it's an anthology,
even though they have no
because to
bearing on
me-
each other. Yeah.
Yes, it's because it's the narrative doesn't, but the narrative of the show, like what the show, like the development of the show, I want to see and experience that.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally get it.
so I have like a weird purist mentality about most things like this.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I break release order for any
Yeah.
reason.
No, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, but those are all the things that I have that you probably already know. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Just two quick things. You covered most of everything I was talking about. Well, first off, okay, I guess 3. So have we talked about Cuckoo at all?
We talked about, so back when the trailers, now that we know they're for Longlegs, were coming out, we talked about the horror films that Neon's releasing. And so that, Cuckoo's the one with Hunter Schafer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if we talked about it. I didn't know anything about a premise, and just reading a little bit today from an article on Bloody Disgusting by Scott Wampler. I just wanted to kind of put it on our radar. It has me interested. For anyone listening that doesn't know, according to Variety, Cuckoo sees Schaefer face off against a mysterious bird-like monster with a scream-like call who seeks to impregnate women with her evil spawn. The story, written by Singer, is based off the lore of the cuckoo bird. The cuckoo bird. I say it and spelling is throwing me off. Some of which are brood parasites, meaning they lay their eggs in the nest of other species. So it just really caught my attention. I have a new like kind of fire in me to experience what this movie is, and I just wanted to put it on our radar. Couldn't remember if we talked about it.
Yeah, I think it does. It have a release date now? I know that it was like on the radar, but I didn't know if it had a release date or anything.
In theaters on May 3rd.
May 3rd. Okay.
Yeah, I might have to fact check that, but that's what this says. But the wording for it is kind of interesting. But potentially May 3rd.
Okay.
But yeah, so very curious about that. The other thing was, this won't apply to everyone immediately, but I saw a quick teaser trailer and read a little article about a movie called Invader. And it looks like it's going to be kind of what I loved about Stranger Things potentially, with just like a straightforward home invasion movie that
The Strangers. You've done it twice.
Did I say Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Oh my God. My brain today. And okay. Yes. The Strangers, which I obviously love deeply, deeply, deeply. But yeah, this movie just caught my attention. It's definitely an indie flick. It apparently is 70 minutes, but they said that it's because they trimmed all the fat and it's just like a high intensity, like home invasion thriller.
Okay.
And I think it comes out in
March 15th.
March 15th. Yep. And we can go, it's going to be limited theaters, but the Alamo in Lower Manhattan is going to have it. And so we could potentially go check it out.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I'm sure it'll be streaming somewhere, but just wanted to put that on everyone's radar as well.
Yeah.
Caught my attention earlier today. And the last thing would just be, if you want to shit talk Ryan Murphy a little bit, did you see the Grotesque?
I didn't even look at it.
No?
Look at it. I saw Grotesquerie was like a thing.
Yeah, Grotesquerie. That's what it is.
Sure, I'll look at it.
I'm not trying to make enemies of Ryan Murphy, but we have to be honest about our opinions about a lot of the things that have come out in the horror sphere, and Ryan Murphy has not been our favorite person in horror television. I did watch he posted like a teaser. It's just like a black screen with like some information and then the title, but you hear an audio of a character talking, and they say, quote, "I don't know when it started. I can't put my finger on it, but it's different now. There's been a shift, like something's opening up in the world, a kind of hole at the center of nothingness. What I saw today, they sent shrinks for everyone who worked this crime scene." And it goes on like that. I don't know.
There's something going on. It's a Grotesquerie.
Right. It makes it sound like there's it kind of talks about like a global horror. It has me curious, but I won't say hopeful because again, I just have not been personally a big fan of Ryan Murphy's work. Obviously, American Horror Story has its audience. Not trying to shit on people that like that show, but we've made it pretty clear that we are not fans here. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there. Grotesquerie.
Yeah.
A rotisserie chicken.
Yeah, I will not be seated when that comes out, but maybe if people say it's good, then I'll watch it. But
I will peek at updates from afar, and maybe if it seems, if I feel hopeful enough, I might check it out. But as of now, all right, that's all.
All right. That's all
News.
That's all the stuff that we have that you probably already know. Let's take a brief break, and we're going to come back and talk about Elements and also our mostly horror recs of the week. How many episodes have you watched of Avatar?
We're back in the shit. All right.
Yep.
I've watched everything but the last 2.
Oh.
I think there's 8. So
okay.
I think I've seen 6 of them.
I just finished Secret Tunnels. What episode was that?
Secret Tunnel.
That was probably episode 4.
Through the mountains.
All right. So, I mean, I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
But obviously we haven't finished it yet, so we can't talk in
fully.
What's your first impression? I gotta know.
Okay. There's so much, man. It's funny because I knew we were going to talk about this today, and I tried to prep my mind, and then you get here. I feel a lot of things, is what I'm going to say. Watching that show, there are some things in it that I love, that I think they absolutely nailed. And I'll go on to list some of them in a second. But then there are things that I think are really, really bad. It is crazy to me. Let's talk just visuals for a second. Let's not even worry about narrative yet.
Okay.
There are certain shots where I'm like, that's dude, whoever your concept artist is killed this. Like Boston Say, like so many places look amazing. Oh, Mashu, yeah. You're right, yeah.
I just finished it. That's the only reason I can connect.
Yes,
and also that's the second season, but
yeah. Amashu looks awesome.
Yep.
Dude, the water bending, like all the bending, especially if you compare it to the other live action movie, obviously, this is not just like things moving slowly while people do yoga. They paid attention to the moves. They studied, and I think that for the most part, they probably did about as good as you can do in most of the shots. The water bending in particular looks really good. Looks really good in almost every shot. The fire looks surprisingly good in most shots, not every shot.
I was going to say
there's really bad ones.
There's a really bad one with Uncle Ira, but there's also really good stuff too, especially when it's like a high volume fight scene. But I
yes. Yeah, when they really get into it. The air bending, I think, is the shoddiest of everything. Like there are scenes that look great. We get, slight spoiler, but we get to see Aang on his air ball.
Yeah.
And that looked good. But then, dude, his first flight looked awful. And there's just so many, I feel like you can tell what shots were not done and they just needed to get it in the show. So that's frustrating. The creatures look really good most of the time. Appa kind of changes depending on scene, but all those bird things, I don't remember what they're called.
Thestrals, not to loop in Harry Potter again for the second time.
Honestly, they look like that's what they
look like. Thestrals. Anyways,
they look awesome.
Yeah, they look cool. Or they look like chocobos or whatever it is from Final Fantasy.
Yes. Whoa. Wow. Have you played Final Fantasy?
I just know. I know chocobos.
How do you know that?
Anyways.
But yeah, they look awesome. The Badger Mole looks sick. The
cool.
Badger Mole looked awesome. But yeah, so the CGI is not perfect. Really quick, do you want to talk about CGI before we get to narrative?
Talk about whatever. Me personally?
Right. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say before?
No, I mean I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one Katara waterbending shot that I don't love.
What one?
It's she's with Jet, and it's like a rack focus kind of, and it's right after he says, think about your mom alive, not your mom dying, and
Oh
she
yeah,
pulls the water up, and it's the way the light hits it. That's like
Sure.
one of my things for the show is it's lit weird in a way that like does not lend itself for a fantasy show, and also one that has a lot of visual effects. So that's my only. But
it's fair.
when I think about like I'm calling that out, but like a kid isn't going to call that out. Like I'm able to pull
Sure.
myself back in. But no, I completely agree with you. There's some there's some sketchy moments. There's some non-sketchy moments in terms of visuals, but I think overall they did a really good job, which I'm happy about.
Yeah. And even like costumes and set and everything, like it's super solid narratively. It's funny because I'm not as concerned about the things that I was concerned about before.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that I guess I have two. One of the main points is there's so many shots, and maybe this isn't as narrative. I don't know. I can't figure out how to describe what I'm about to talk about. It feels like a play in certain moments. Like there's certain things that just don't. I'm like, this doesn't feel real. This feels like really like a really good fan movie that's just kind of going through the motions. I specifically remember there's a part, I think you've seen it, where Zuko like pushes Iroh out of the way and Iroh ends up getting like hit.
Yes.
Yeah. That sequence, that action sequence made no fucking sense. It didn't look good. And when the fire thing, I think you're talking when Iroh kind of whatever's up in the air, is that what you were talking about?
That happens when he's in Omashu, but that is what I'm talking about. Yeah.
He just does that.
Yeah.
And then he walks off stage. That's what that felt like to me. Like there's certain moments where I'm like, you guys did not choreograph the action right here, and it feels like say your line, hit your mark, walk off shot, and I felt that many times. I can't pull up every single one, but that has been frustrating to me.
I think.
What do you think?
I think overall the writing. Well, I won't mention the full writing thing right now. I think that the acting is not great. I think that as of now, the best actors to me are Zuko and Sokka. Out of the main ones, Zuko, Sokka, and probably Katara. I don't think the kid who's doing Aang is. I think he's doing fine, but his line readings are rough sometimes. And I also think the supporting cast is good. Like out of the main characters, I think those are the best. Uncle Iroh just isn't doing it for me. But I think the like Boomy, as goofy as he is, I think was really good. I also it felt like that's where
not like Boomy.
That's where I had to pull myself back a bit and be like, this is made for kids. And I know it needs to be made for the people that watch the original series too.
It needs to be made for both.
But I was like, if I was it's the same thing I had to do for a series of unfortunate events, where this series to me feels a lot like a series of unfortunate events. I
was thinking the same thing.
You're like, this, I know that this is a person in a costume. I know that this is a person acting, but it's as long as they nail the vibe and the meaning and the story, I think it's at least a success. I think that's easier to do with a series of unfortunate events than it is with Avatar. But even like even I can't remember the guy's name, the guy from Community who plays the machinist or whatever his name is, Danny Putty.
Yeah,
he plays.
I just had a bed in my head.
Yeah,
that's all I had.
He plays a bed. But he, it's very obviously him in a costume, and he's just playing this character. But I think he, it nails the essence of what the show is supposed to be. So, but the writing, I think that they're doing their best, the actors, but the way that I laughed in the first episode when Gran said he is the last airbender, like she literally breaks off to go recite the opening monologue of the show, or like the opening title sequence of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Aang runs out, she says he is the last air. Like it was so exposition heavy, that entire first
Sure.
episode. It was so hard to get through. And the 2, 3, and 4 have been way better. But that first episode was really hard. I liked that they started when the Fire Nation attacked. I liked that narrative choice. I like their flashbacks when they do them. And yeah, I mean, like you said, the things that you were worried about before, you're not as worried about. I think you mentioned this when you were talking about what show were you talking about? If they tried to nail the goofy nature, it would be too goofy. You were saying it earlier, but I kind of feel that way with Avatar. Like I think they're able to like hit the levity moments well enough.
Yeah.
It's not like as light as the animated show is, but I think that they nail the drama enough, and like the ethical nature of questions and that sort of stuff, the way that the show does. I don't think they do it really strongly with Aang, and I hope that gets better. Even his scenes with Boomy talking about like, you're just a kid, isn't that okay, or whatever he says, like that's kind of like the whole thing of the show, and they really need to nail that. But overall, I've been excited to continue watching it, at least, which is good.
Yes. Okay, multiple thoughts. They're definitely touching on all the important topics that the show needs to touch on, or at least like all the main stuff, and I think that they're doing that pretty well. It's a super ambitious show. Like I'm trying to like be honest with my critique while also just like reiterating that I think that this is probably like one of the hardest things that a show, a studio could try to do. You're trying to condense this massive story, like we've talked about before, and that massive story allows you to switch between tone a lot easier and slower and in a way that feels more natural. And in this, they condense it down, so it's almost like jarring to me to have like the dramatic scene and then the goofy thing right next to it. Like it doesn't fit as well.
Yeah.
And so when goofiness shows up outside of like dialogue or situation, it's hard for me, which is why Boomy is like one of my least favorite things.
That's fair.
I just don't. Yeah, it just didn't work for me. But I was like, be fair. I was like, how else? Like Boomy's such a complicated character with
and
his
such
design.
a cartoony character, character that's made for animation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? But also I was trying to remember, because the Boomy that I mainly remember is later in the animated show. I don't remember him early as much, but I was like, is this what his first take? Like, is this how he acted with Aang at first? Like in the same, I know that obviously they hit like the checkpoints of what, like how that interaction went, but is the dialogue the same? Does it feel the same? Is he as just like resentful and whatever? And I couldn't remember that.
I think, and I could be wrong, I haven't watched it in a couple of years, but I'm pretty sure he learns that, or he connects that he's Boomy later than he does. Like the king makes him, it's just the king, and the king makes him go through the challenges or whatever it is, tests, and then I think later on he realizes Boomy.
Sure.
It's
so, and maybe that would have made it feel better, I don't know, but their fight was cool. The earthbending was sick. And
I like the whole the decisions that you have to make as the Avatar, and like that that moment I thought was powerful, and it was a rare, well-written moment in the show so far.
I agree. Once we got to that, I was like, the message of what this whole episode and interaction with Boomy, like that is there. I just, for whatever reason, couldn't get it to work. But I was like, I feel like he's an ambitious, it's hard to do. I'm sure it's hard to do. Because you need to have, it's not like they could just get a senior person, a much older person to do it, because then there's all of the athletic aspects that come in, not just now, but later. And
I mean, this guy Boomy's played by I just had him pulled up earlier because he's in a number of things, but Utkarsh Ambudkar is his name, and he's like late 30s, obviously covered in makeup for this. But yeah, I just enjoyed the performance. Again, I'm not going to be able to suspend my disbelief fully for this fantasy show, but I thought that he did a good job.
Yes. And other than that, like I was trying to figure out if the acting or like I was like, are they not great acting or is this writing? I couldn't figure it out. The kid, Aang, I think he looks so good.
Yeah,
as
he
Aang.
looks
I'm
really
like,
good.
this is they nailed the design and like casting visually. But yeah, when he talks, he just doesn't feel like Aang.
No.
And I can't tell if that's him or the writing. But he just doesn't feel like Aang, and that is really hard to get by. And yeah, he also has like, I don't want to put this kid down because I feel like he probably there's I feel like he's probably a good actor and it's just not working with this role for a ton of different reasons, but he's very like kid in a theater acting. It's very like what do you, and like I don't know, super expressive in the face. I can't even like mimic what he does,
No,
but
well,
like I got to think of a line.
I think that's again, I think it's in the writing because almost everything Aang says is like inquisitive or dramatic, and Aang is really just trying to have fun a lot of the time in the show, and I think that they just don't write that in enough. Like I think that that's the biggest thing, and I think he's too like, well, why can't things be this way? Well, things should be this way. I don't want to fight. Like, he does do that a lot. He's a pacifist, but like there's more joy in his character that I think we're just not fully seeing.
Yeah, he also, I don't know, he just feels more like, he feels like real in the show, even as this like character that is so different than like most people in the show and then anyone we would meet in real life, but he just feels natural. And in this, it feels like he's playing his part of being the like just hope. He's just hope. He's just hope in a hopeless world, and that's all that we're getting. And it doesn't feel real. It just doesn't feel real. So it's hard to describe, but overall, I agree. Like I've been having fun watching it as a visual feat for the most part, more than anything else. I have been having fun with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's just made me realize, like to summarize everything, I've been like, I do not think that this is at all what I wanted or what most people wanted. And I don't think that I love it or would ever insist that anyone ever watch it. But it's making me realize that I don't think that what we want is maybe even possible. To do as a live action for countless reasons. Like I feel like this is a really good shot that is not hitting the mark, but it makes me curious. I wish we should get the guys on. We should get like the original creators on and just be like, what were you gonna do?
I think they're working on a follow-up series.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think they're working on like Aang and the crew in like their 20s is what's happening next.
Let's get them on the show.
Yeah, that would be cool. Have you made it to the Northern Water Tribe yet?
No,
I haven't. Okay. Amber Midthunder from Prey is Princess Yue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm very excited. I definitely want to keep watching it, but
yeah.
Cool. I'm glad we are kind of similar with our thoughts. On that, because I was ready to turn it off after the first episode, and I'm glad that I didn't, because I'm at least enjoying watching it.
Yeah, gotta get through it, and obviously we'll chat a little bit more once we're both done. Maybe by next week. So,
all right. On that note, let's get into mostly horror recommendations of the week. You go first.
I need a minute.
All right, I can go first.
Okay, yeah, you go first. I wasn't thinking about it.
All good. I'll go first with my recs. I have a couple. The first thing that I'm going to recommend that I feel like I've probably already recommended this. I'm sure we've spoken about it. I don't know if I've legally made it one of my recommendations, but one second, pause for dramatic effect. When I was in France, I bought the French version of Raw. It's called Grave or Grave, whatever, Grave.
Damn.
Raw is French. It has a French origin. It's from France. Julia Ducournau is French. So I wanted to grab the French version. I wasn't able to grab a lot of other. I bought other movies when I was there. I bought Anatomy of a Fall, which is a French film that came out this year. But they didn't. I couldn't find Amelie. I couldn't find. What other French movie was I looking for? I was looking for a couple of
Madeline.
There was a lot of Madeline books there for sure.
I bet there was.
But I couldn't find Little Prince. Although I did get. They have a Little Prince store, and I got a Little Prince pop from the Little Prince store. Yeah,
nice.
It was pretty sick. Le Petit
Very
Prince.
cool.
But anyways, I don't know if I've made this one of my recommendations. This movie is so good. It's one of my favorite horror films, and it's a hell of a debut from Julia Ducournau. Great coming of age movie. Also, just a like really tight 90 minutes or whatever it is. So definitely would recommend this to anybody that is listening. The film Raw. The other movie that I'm going to recommend is not horror at all, but it is a film that we watched on the plane ride back. Crazy Stupid Love is one of my favorite romantic comedies. I think that it is like it might be my favorite romantic comedy if I don't count Ruby Sparks. But it is so funny. It is one of the best examples of juggling multiple characters and multiple storylines flawlessly. Have you ever seen Crazy Stupid Love?
I think maybe
if you're in, I think maybe you need to fucking watch it right now.
Deal. Okay.
It is so
because it came out in like 2009, right? Or 2010?
It's like 2010, 2009. It is so funny. Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone, Jessica Chastain. Or sorry, not Jessica Chastain. Julianne Moore. Other people. It is literally so funny, and it is the only time that I can remember a twist in a romantic comedy knocking me to the floor. The twist is so insanely good in that movie. So those are my two recs. Crazy Stupid Love. I love Raw. Raw is one of my favorite films. Crazy Stupid Love. If anyone hasn't seen it, you need to go watch it right now because it is so good.
Damn.
It's so funny.
Okay.
So huge recommendation. I will say they do use gay as like a joke. That's not good. Happens really fast. But it's a sign of the times.
Be careful what
in that
you
movie.
say.
But regardless, great movie. The other rec that I want to give, we won't be able to put this in a graphic, but I do want to shine light on something. I have been having this guy's Instagram get suggested to me multiple times while scrolling. I need you to look at it.
Okay.
It's Muda, MUDA .Japan. And basically, this guy is like a performance artist, and he does basically this like he just lets his body do whatever it feels like it needs to do, and it is so scary and uncanny. You have to watch it with sound. It's fine if you need to pause it to watch it with sound. But this guy is, if I saw him in the dark, I would shit my pants and cry. Like,
are you sending it to me right now?
Oh no, I thought I just told you the thing, but 1 second. Let me
sorry.
I'll share. So again, it's MUDA.Japan. I'm gonna send it to you. I just sent it to you on Instagram.
All right.
And he's just like a body performance artist, but we can pause while you watch whichever video you deem appropriate.
I love it. I don't know what
it's like entrancing, but also scary. And there's so many of these videos. And it's like
it's all the same shtick.
Yeah, it's like the full release of his body, kind of, and it's just like, it's what I imagine like possessed people would be, if that makes sense. Like that, this is like 100%.
Everybody, to me, this is post a tequila shot. Everybody needs to go check out these videos and tell me if I'm wrong. That is nuts. Also, dude, there's something about the weird like
The color.
filter or color correction that you were talking. Yeah, that is adding to it 100%. I'm in, dude.
It's really, I like went on a rabbit hole of just watching this guy's videos, and it's something else for sure. So
wow, yeah, that's dude. Crazy. Yeah, everybody look at that. Gave him a follow. Oh, and looks like Barnaby Clay follows him.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Great.
He's the one person that showed up. Okay. While you were talking, I was trying so hard to remember the name of a documentary that I watched recently. And it just kind of came on. I think I was watching a docuseries of some kind, and it finished. It might have even been Hoarders. It might have been Hoarders finished, because I've been watching a lot of Hoarders. Okay. If you really quick, that's one of my recs. If your place is a mess right now, or if you're moving soon, watch Hoarders. Throw on Hoarders and tell me you don't start throwing shit away. I'm like, and you know me, I'm a bit of a hoarder. I got a lot of stuff.
I was gonna say, is it making you throw shit away?
For me, yes.
Right.
Not to your standards, no.
Yeah.
But
anything,
because you're really good at getting rid of stuff. You're just good at giving stuff away and decluttering your life. I am not. My living space is always a tomb. Very reflective of what my mind is as well. It's rough, but Hoarders helps me out a bit. So everybody do that. But dude, a documentary came up on Netflix. It just started playing itself. And I believe that it is called Lover, Stalker, Killer.
Also watched that on the plane.
Did you?
Yeah.
Tell me that wasn't fucking nuts. That was nuts.
I don't want to be a downer, but I called the twist like 4 minutes into the movie. Yeah. And so I watched it with that in my mind the whole time. And I was like, yep, I knew it. But yeah, it is fucking crazy. Like it's a wild story. Like not a, it's just a wild, it's a wild story.
It's now you have me wondering if is it an obvious twist, or do you think you just were really good at picking up? Well, because I didn't sit down and watch it. I was at my desk. I was cleaning up dishes and listening to it and coming and watching it, sitting down. So did you pick up?
I was telling
most people picked up on it.
I was telling Chelsea and Kaylee this a day or so ago, but I think
let's not spoil it, by the way.
I think they don't show some of the people being interviewed. They show other people's talking heads, and they don't show some of the other people's talking heads. And there could be various reasons for that. They also make they make a point to use the main guy's VO. And there's a moment when he's like, they exchanged a glance for 2 seconds, and then blah, 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 blah. And so from that, it's the twist is either it's one or the other. You know what I mean? It's either the one thing is happening, which you're made to believe, or it's the complete polar opposite.
Sure.
And so from the get-go, I was like, yeah, crazy gonna crazy.
Dude, and crazy for everybody that has not seen it, crazy hard. We're talking absolute fucking nuts. And I don't want to also, this is not a movie. This is a real life thing that fucking happened to real people. I'm not trying to diminish that. It is just nuts, morbid curiosity. And I think that you guys should actually experience the story in itself. So,
dude, the other
sounds like a weird thing to say.
The other thing I will say is that Netflix pumps out obviously one of these, true crime docs a month, kind of.
Sure.
And the budget, I'm sure they don't have I'm sure the people that made this are hard workers, but they're maybe not the best in the industry. The audio editing on this was just making me laugh so hard, because they would splice things together. And so it would be she really loved pets. And it was just dude, you would listen to it and just that obviously wasn't a sentence that he said. They just put it together. And that happened a lot, specifically with homie in the car, in the repair shop. It was just, that was really funny to me. But again, I enjoyed it. It was just,
okay.
Unfortunately, I called it way too quick.
No, fair enough. I don't know. Maybe I'll even rewatch it and see. I didn't notice any of that, but like I said, I wasn't sitting in the dark just watching it.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But but yeah, definitely crazy, definitely a ride. So that's one thing. Other than that, I've mainly been doing stuff that either we're going to be talking about soon that I don't necessarily want to throw out, or things that we've already talked about. But I will say I've been back and forth on whether or not I want to do this, but I'm just going to do it. My other rec. I'm only like 8 chapters in, but I am currently reading CJ Leeds' book called Maeve Fly. Came out in 23. I know that if you're on Book Talk or anything like that, you might have even heard of it. A lot of people were talking about it. I believe it is her first book. I have not done the full look into CJ yet, but what I can tell you is that 8 chapters in, I am loving it, and we are absolutely going to be reaching out to CJ in the near future, and hopefully you guys will get a chance to check out the book. I think this actually works for books. It gives you a chance to maybe check out the book if you're looking for something to read, and then you can anticipate our conversation with CJ in the future, because I am banking on her being down to come on the show. Love her writing. Instant fan. Haven't even finished the book yet.
Yeah, so. I was hoping it would be one of the free books to listen to on Spotify, and it's not, but I'm gonna try to snag it because
sure,
it definitely sounds interesting. So
yeah, we talked a lot about American Psycho. You will pick up on him. I mean, it says, right, she actually wrote something called Americana Psycho. I don't know what she's very much so an American Psycho fan and takes influence from that world. So that's all I'll say. Other than that, you just got to check it out. The artwork is awesome on the cover.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
My recs.
Those are our recs for this week. Send us an email if you've seen any of those things that we talked about. I don't have time to go through them all. There were so many things. Mostly horror movie night at gmail.com. You can hit us on Instagram at Mostly Horror Pod. We're on Twitter and TikTok at Mostly Horror. I'm everywhere. Oh, I was going to tell you a thing. We're going to keep, I have a little story for you.
I love that it's happening in the middle of the thing.
That's funny because I said TikTok. So this is just a funny little thing, and you guys can turn this episode off if you're interested, but you can listen to our episodes early and ad free on Wondery Plus and Amazon, Apple Music. But for work, we've been working with this animation company, creative company called Mortis Studios. Shout out to the Mortis guys. They probably don't listen to the podcast, but Mortis rules. A bunch of dudes in San Diego, I believe. They've been working on this.
Being dudes.
They've been working on this mixed media animation series that I've been kind of helming basically since I started working at the Nets. And we're hopping on to do a weekly kind of check-in call that we have, and they say, dude, I saw your podcast on TikTok. They saw our TikTok with Camping is Canceled, trying to figure out what the movie was. And so it was just really funny. Well, I think one of the guys saw it and then passed it to the other guys that work there because they all know me now and know about the pod. So I just want to say we're now in the part where our TikToks are reaching people that we already know.
Yeah.
But
dude, once you break like 100K on a video or something, that's when you start getting messages from people. Just being like, holy shit, I saw whatever.
That's so fun. It was just so funny. And I was like, oh dude, I got to tell you. And then I was like, I'll wait to tell you.
Very cool.
Anyways, if you want to be one of those people that see us on TikTok at Mostly Horror, we got fun clips. I'm everywhere at Steven is Average. Sean is on all the socials at Hypocrite Inc. or hypocrite.inc. That's all we got for you this week. We'll catch you next time.
Goodbye.